Hello and welcome to Volusia Magazine. I'm Amber Osman. In this week's episode, the Department of Health reminds residents to get their annual flu shot. We go inside Animal Services' state-of-the-art clinic. And summer lifeguard recruitment is heating up at beach safety. Last, the big read continues at county libraries. Later on in the program, Joanne Magley sits down with Rob Ehrhardt, Director of Volusia County Economic Development. Those segments and more coming right up on Volusia Magazine. I hope you stay tuned. Hit Me With Your Best Shot is more than a classic rock song. It's also a call to action across Florida where the flu season is in full swing. The best way to avoid getting the dreaded disease is to roll up your sleeve and get the flu shot. Health officials are expecting Volusia County's flu activity to increase and peak over the next several weeks. High-risk groups include children, pregnant women, people with chronic health conditions, and people over the age of 65.
We had actually a slower arriving flu season this year than typical, but now it's pretty much in full swing. It's never too late to get the flu vaccine to protect yourself from the flu. It takes about 2 weeks for it to take effect, so you need to go in as soon as you can. After we used the nasal spray for a few years, the CDC found that it wasn't nearly as effective as they thought it might be, so their recommendation is to no longer use the spray, but to use all of the injectable compounds.
It's also important to practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently. Make it a habit to clean and disinfect commonly used surfaces in your home, school, or office. You can also ward off the flu, keeping your hands off of your face. When you cough or sneeze, do so into a tissue or your elbow. Flu shots are available from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. without an appointment at 3 health department locations here in Volusia County. 1845 Holzenbach Drive in Daytona Beach, 775 Harley Strickland Boulevard in Orange City, 717 West Canal Street in New Smyrna Beach. The flu vaccine is offered in doctors' offices, clinics, retail stores, pharmacies, and health centers. Many employers and schools also offer flu shots. For more information about influenza, you can visit floridahealth.gov/FloridaFlu. Volusia County Animal Services has opened a new spay and neuter clinic at 1250 Indian Lake Road in Daytona Beach. This state-of-the-art clinic provides low-cost and reduced-fee animal sterilization to residents of the unincorporated areas of Volusia County and the cities of DeLand and South Daytona. Services at the new spay-neuter clinic are by appointment only. Residents seeking low-cost pet spaying and neutering must show proof of public assistance such as Medicaid, Women, Infants, and Children WIC, or food stamp identification card. Residents must also show proof of income and meet income eligibility guidelines, which are based on the number of people in the household and the annual household income. Prices range from $15 to $65 and are based on income. Residents who do not meet the criteria for the guidelines will be referred to another low-cost spay-neuter program.
Excited about it. We're slowly doing more surgeries as our staff gets accustomed to it. They love it because they have the room to operate.
With the opening of the new spay-neuter clinic, the mobile pet vet cruiser will continue to provide services throughout the county, visiting alternative areas once a week.
It's presently the bus goes to different locations, does surgeries, but 4 out of the 5 days, the surgeries are going to be done at the stationary clinic in Daytona.
Locations the Pet Vet Cruiser will be at in February are Fire Station 23 at 1850 Pioneer Trail in New Smyrna Beach on February 1st. Fancy Fruit and Produce at 911 South Volusia Avenue in Orange City, February 8th. Rockin' Ranch, 801 South Nova Road in Ormond Beach, February 15th. Oak Brook Professional Center, 931 Spring Garden Avenue in DeLand, February 22nd. For more information about Volusia County Animal Control or to make an appointment for the new clinic or the Pet Vet Cruiser, you can call 386-323-3575. For more information, you can visit volusia.org/animal control.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
This week on Solutions for Your Life, Karen Stodderman, UF-IFAS Extension Agent, Volusia County, offers a winter update on the agricultural and foliage industry.
Hi, I'm Karen Stodderman with Solutions for Your Life. Today, we're in Pearson, Florida for the annual Winter Foliage Forum.
Thank you for the invitation, Karen, to come and speak today. I'm Phil Harmon, Extension Plant Pathologist with UF in Gainesville.
The Foliage Forum occurs 3 times a year in Pearson, Florida. It's a University of Florida educational program that provides recent and new education available to all Volusia County residents, mostly from the horticultural industry and the fern industry. Water pollution is the second most vital environmental concern, following air pollution. That's what's been defined as. And what is it? It's a change or modification of any physical, chemical, or any biological properties that water has. That can be detrimental to any living system, not just to humans, but any plant and animal system. Look at all the different kinds of water pollutions. But what do they focus on mostly? They focus mostly on plant nutrition, nutrients. They focus mostly on farmers, which is not fair because there's an awful lot of way to pollute water besides just us and farming. In addition to myself, we are featuring the Winter Foliage Forum, including Dr. Phil Harmon, a University of Florida plant pathologist.
We've got a new disease of blueberries called bacterial wilt. It's a pathogen that's been around for a long time in Florida, since 1897, causing disease of tomato and pepper and potato. But just within the last few weeks, we've found it on blueberry in Florida, and it's a major concern here at the University of Florida for our blueberry industry in the state.
We're offering the latest of research on the bacterial wilt of blueberries.
Blueberries, when they're grown at this period of time, have to be freeze protected with irrigation water in the central to north central Florida areas. So you need the capability to apply overhead irrigation for freeze protection. We also have several disease issues, including Phytophthora root rot, which require mounded beds. So we have to mound the beds, we have to construct the fields such that they drain properly, or we're going to have a lot of problems with Phytophthora root rot and other diseases. There are other things to consider. Blueberries are acid-loving plants, they're ericaceous plants. If we have soils, we have some good blueberry soils on their own in Florida. Most of them have already been planted in blueberry. Now we're planting blueberry in soils that are a little more calcareous, that are a little more high pH oriented. Because of that, we have to amend the soil with pine bark mulch or some other amendment. Usually it's an organic amendment to lower the pH and provide a soil that blueberries can grow in.
Dr. Mark Brenham is the world's expert on fireflies throughout Volusia County, Florida, and throughout the nation.
Florida has like highest number of firefly diversities than just like any state. Fireflies are the most common in places that are like obviously dark and that are like also left fairly natural and are moist. Also, Florida species are pretty notorious for like being very habitat specific. If you're not in the right habitat at the right time of night, then you won't see them. Firefly numbers have actually dropped, but I think it's probably due to like mainly light pollution and then also like lowering aquifer levels. Fireflies feed on snails, slugs, and then also worms as larvae, as like a firefly larvae. And you find those prey where it's more moist. And so lots of parts of Florida have been getting drier and drier over the years. And I think that you're like not finding some of those same prey items in those areas anymore.
And as always, for more information on these or any other topics, feel free to contact the University of Florida Volusia County Extension Office. With Solutions for Your Life, I'm Karen Stotterman.
Whoa! Why did you throw the trash out the window?
Once.
Don't you know how long it takes litter to decompose? A cigarette butt takes 1 to 5 years. A plastic bag, 10 to 20 years. A glass bottle, 1,000,000 years.
You know, you're right. We should start caring more about the environment. Let's stop litter now.
Keep Volusia County beautiful.
Put litter in its place. Drive it home.
Have you got what it takes to be a Volusia County lifeguard? Volusia County's Beach Safety Division plans to hire nearly 150 part-time lifeguards to help keep beachgoers safe this summer.
Looking forward to our recruiting and hiring for our 2017 lifeguard season. Beach safety is the most visible part of county government, so our guards do act as ambassadors. You're going to be out there amongst a lot of people. You're going to be asked a lot of questions. People are going to want to talk to you, want to know what's going on. They want to know about beach conditions, rip currents, marine life, where a good restaurant is. So you have to be a people person. You have to learn how to talk to people. Yep.
Applicants must be at least 16 on or before June 1st and be able to swim 500 meters in under 10 minutes. They also must be able to swim 50 yards in under 30 seconds and run a half mile in under 3 minutes 15 seconds. Starting pay is $11 per hour. Those who meet the requirements must attend training classes in February or March and attend the Volusia County Beach Safety 48-hour ocean rescue training and complete a 40-hour first responder CPR course. Many of our part-time summer lifeguards have stayed in the community and gone on to successful careers off the beach, while others have stayed with the Lifeguard Corps and now have key senior staff positions with beach safety.
I love being outside and just helping people in general. There's no feeling like it. Just being able to, whether it's rescue someone from the water or unlock somebody's vehicle, being able to help people is just one of the truest rewards you can have.
It's a great job. Give it a chance. We have a new pay. We're excited about it. And if you're going to work, you might as well work at the beach.
Tryouts begin February 18th and will be held in 4 locations across the county. For a list of tryout dates, you can visit volusia.org/beach or you can call 386-239-6414. The Great Gatsby is one of the most popular novels in American literature, but it wasn't well received during the author's lifetime. The 1925 novel by F. Scott Fitzgerald didn't register with desperate Americans as they entered the Great Depression. It was out of print when the author died in 1940, but rose to popularity in the coming decades, becoming an American classic. Hundreds of book lovers have turned out for programs celebrating The Great Gatsby at Volusia County's public libraries since mid-January. If you're not one of them, you still have time. Presentations, book discussions, and movies will continue at the libraries through February 21st. The free programs were made possible through a $15,000 grant from the National Endowment for the Arts Big Read program and a matching grant from the Volusia County Council.
For me, I read the book when I was at school, and very many people connected with the book at school. And it's always fun to reread something again when you're an adult and see how differently you feel about it. But it's very enjoyable for me to help people just share how they've reconnected with the book and how their thoughts about it are different now from what they were when, say, they were back in high school.
Sybil Gage, who was born and raised in New Orleans, will perform jazz favorites from the 1920s and 30s at 2 p.m. February 7th at the Port Orange Regional Library. Kirk Kernet, the chair of English at Troy University, will explain how The Great Gatsby captures Americans' idealistic nature at 2 p.m. February 11th at the Ormond Beach Regional Library. A veteran acting duo will portray both William Harding and Calvin Coolidge and their wives at 2 p.m. February 14th at the Port Orange Regional Library. For a complete list of the Big Read activities, you can visit volusialibrary.org/NEA Big Read. All programs are free and open to the public. It's time to join the Director of Community Information, Joanne Magley, and her guest, Rob Ehrhardt, Director of Volusia County Economic Development.
The economic news across the country and in Volusia County continues to be very positive. So today we'll take a look at the key economic influences for the local economy for the fourth quarter of 2016. So joining us in the studio is Rob Ehrhardt, Director of the county's Economic Development Division. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Joanne. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
So every quarter you present a economic development briefing for the community, and you did that just this past week. What was the general message of this last quarter's briefing?
Another positive message generally, starting at the national level. GDP was just reported, the advance estimate at 1.9% annual growth rate. So that's down from what it was in the third quarter of, this is nationwide, for 3.5% for third quarter. But distilling that down locally, things are very positive in Volusia County as well.
So during the quarterly meetings, you show a series of slides that have to do with permit activity. So let's start with the residential permits and tell us about what those numbers represent.
So to be clear, Joanne, the numbers represent new construction only and not renovations. And there's quite a bit of activity on the renovation side, but for new construction, for the calendar year 2016, the total dollar value of those new construction permits exceeded $500 million. That's a big number. It's a great number. But to be fair, it by comparison to 2005, it doesn't measure up. We were over $1 billion for the calendar year then. So we have some work to do, but I think the good news is that the growth is continuing, and the growth is continuing in an incremental way that makes it more comfortable for the companies in the construction industry, both in terms of delivering product as well as being able to find the labor that they need to make this happen.
So in keeping with the residential permits and homes in general, talk about foreclosures and where we're at as far as the number of foreclosures that we have this last quarter compared to where we were a few quarters ago.
Well, we'll get the bad news out of the way first, and that is the state of Florida is still significant, nationally speaking, in terms of foreclosures. So it is still a headwind in our economy throughout the state as well as locally. The good news is that the number of new foreclosure filings continues to decline, as well as the number of foreclosures that are being sold. So that inventory of foreclosures is continuing to decline as well. I'm not really a big fan of forecasting. I used to do that in my private sector job, and I was wrong at least half the time. So, but I'd say we're probably going to be dealing with this as a headwind in our economy for another 12 months, maybe a little bit longer.
Okay, so let's switch now to commercial construction and talk about those numbers as far as permits are concerned.
Commercial construction was down a little bit this quarter, maybe as compared to some of the prior quarters in 2016, coming in around $88 million. But there's some positive projects, and in particular, and so people would say, well, you're talking about commercial, why are you going back to housing? Technically speaking, a apartment complex is considered a commercial permit, not a residential permit. And so there's been quite a bit of activity for those types of permits, particularly in the city of Port Orange. And I'll point out that all of this data that we have, that we accumulate, comes to us from each of the cities throughout Volusia County, as well as the folks here at the county in unincorporated Volusia.
So what have you been hearing then as far as construction as it's related to jobs? Is there still a big demand for filling construction jobs? Because we have seen a rise in construction activity over the past few years.
We have seen a rise in the number of construction employees year over year, but to be fair, there's probably still a shortage, particularly in certain skilled trades for local builders, and so it's always a challenge to have. maybe a nice problem to have rather than the ones that we dealt with 5 or 6 years ago. I'm going to use this as an example. I think a lot of people are familiar that Volusia County Schools has a career academy concept. They're moving toward having almost 40 career academies throughout the Volusia County school system. One of those is in the construction building industry. They have a great partnership with Volusia County Schools for that career academy with the Volusia Building Industry Association. So there's an example of how Volusia County Schools and the industry are getting together, education and economic development are getting together to figure out how do we prepare ourselves for success in terms of pipeline for talent.
And some of those academies also have a connection with manufacturing, and manufacturing is one of our biggest industries here in Volusia County. So how are we doing as far as that industry is concerned here?
So you're right. It's another great example of where career academies in the industry have connected. VMA, Volusia Manufacturing Alliance, I think I got that right. Jane Pfeiffer will correct me if I didn't. But actually, in terms of numbers of employees, it's not the largest. But we do have over 400 manufacturers here in Volusia County, and as an industry, as a super sector, it represents the largest annual average wage as compared to all the others, coming very close to $50,000, something just under $50,000 annual average wage.
And I think that may be surprising to people because manufacturing has really advanced in the skill set, I think, that a lot of the jobs require and the advanced certifications. And so it's worth a look if you haven't looked into that industry lately, or for your children's sake, to get them some information on it, because there's a wide variety of skilled jobs available. And as you said, it's a good wage to boot.
It's a great career, and it's a clean industry.
So let's talk about, you mentioned the wage for manufacturing. What about the overall average annual wage here in Volusia County? How are we doing there?
So it's another kind of good news, bad news story, or good news could be better story. Private industry is just under $36,000 a year, so $35,903, I think is the number that the state's going to use to benchmark any applications that people may make to state incentive programs. So that's 3.5% increase over what it was in the prior year. So the year I'm talking about is 2015. That's the latest data available for an entire year. So as compared to the prior year, 2014, again, a 3.5% increase. We're not where we need to be in terms of the state as comparison to the state. So the state's closer to 45,000 plus, which is about 27% higher than where we were. If you were to take our annual average wage for 15 and compare it to that of the state about 10 years ago, we're roughly in the same place.
Okay, and what about unemployment numbers? Where do we stand as far as the unemployment here in Volusia County?
So unemployment is, in terms of numbers of unemployed, is about 12,600. So that's still too high. But if you step back and look at that in its proper context, the labor force is about 248,000. And more importantly, the unemployment rate, the headline unemployment rate, has been hovering around the 5%. So for December of 16, it was right at 5%. And that's not a seasonally adjusted number. And that compares, I think it was 5.2% a year prior. So I was recently asked, do we expect year-over-year declines to continue? I think it's possible. But if you do a little research on the internet, you'll find that a lot of national economists regard 5% as full employment or the nominal unemployment rate. So it's possible that we could get into the 4% range, but I don't expect that a year from now we'll be talking about 4% unemployment.
Okay. And this quarterly briefing that we've been talking about and the information that you provide, that's just one aspect of what you do at economic development. Your primary, I guess, goal is to help local businesses expand. Give us a little overview about economic development and that role to help expansion.
So we have what I refer to as an ecosystem here in Volusia County. There are a number of organizations that make some type of contribution to economic development. In our particular case, it's focused entirely on helping businesses that are located within the borders of Volusia County to expand. And in those rare instances when they are being courted by someone outside the area and are considering leaving the county, then in a business retention example. So The best example I can give you is that just last weekend, a publicly traded company now, Top Build, just moved into their brand new headquarters facility in Daytona Beach on Williamson Boulevard with over 200 employees. And it was about 6 years ago that they had a position at a different location in Daytona Beach and considered the fact that they were growing and they were going to need bigger digs, if you will, and started looking around. And I think there was a very realistic chance that they could have gone somewhere else in the Central Florida area. So it can be a long sales cycle for sometimes. In other instances, we have a headquarters-like firm in DeBary that has recently made the decision to expand and stay in Volusia County by moving into a larger facility in Orange City. That's a medium-sized company, but it's what we refer to as a stage 2 company. It's growing very quickly, so it's a very successful engineering firm, and we're fortunate to have these types of companies in our local economy.
Yeah, it's all about relationships, and your team, as well as the rest of the ecosystem, do a great job in fostering those relationships and keeping the pulse on what's going on in Volusia County. Where can people get more information on the data that you have available, and maybe if they want to attend one of the next quarterly briefings?
So the quarterly briefings are held in the McGee Room inside the Daytona Beach International Airport on the 2nd floor, right across that part of the concourse where our office is located. And so people can reach us by phone at 386-248-8048, or they can go on our website at floridabusiness.org.
All right. Well, Rob Ehrhardt, Director of Economic Development for Volusia County, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Joanne, and thank you for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about the show, you can feel free to give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org and click on the News tab at the top of the screen to find us. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today. That's Volusia County Government's weekly public radio broadcast. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Osman. Have a wonderful evening.